Well, Toby, thanks for joining us. You're in the shed. What's the story? You're doing some shearing.
Yeah, we're waiting to start shearing. It's been one of those things. It's been put off with the rain, and we're about to start tomorrow, the first day of 4 days shearing, hopefully. But we're confident of doing one day, but not so confident of the next three in a row with the weather forecast.
So has the weather been still pretty wet, or are things able to dry out a tad after what you've been through?
We dried out in March. It was pretty good, and then April's been really wet. 130, 140 mils on top of everything we already had. The ground doesn't get a chance to dry. There's mud everywhere. Our vehicles are having to go to town to get new tyres, and it's pretty frustrating. And the bellies on our sheep are going to be a bit average, and the shearers won't be that happy, but you've got to take what you get at the moment.
So you can't, once the wool is wet, you can't touch it, you've got to let it dry out. Does that take long?
Yeah, if you've got a good breeze and some sun, no. It depends how heavy the rain is, but but the sheep were damp this morning, they'll be dry as tonight. And once we've got them on the gratings in the wool shed, the bellies will dry out a bit. But the key is to hold them outside to the last possible moment to get them in, so you don't destroy your yards on the first day of shearing.
Now we're talking tax relief, this measure which is, well, I guess a positive step by the government following the storms and earthquake.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. It's one of those things that you don't sort of tend to think about until you get your insurance check and your bank account, and then the IRD says, hey, hang on a minute, you got some depreciation you claimed on that building you lost, and I'd like that depreciation back, please. So the Revenue Minister's done a fantastic thing for all those affected with buildings and houses and massive infrastructure that has been insured. So if you've got bridges or culverts that were insured, you don't have to pay the depreciation back, provided you're intending on rebuilding those buildings. Yeah. And I think the real positive there is he has said they don't need to be put back in the same region. So if we look at Esk Valley or Tikaraka or somewhere like that, where we had some severely damaged infrastructure and houses, that people can actually relocate and not have a penalty from the government, from the IRD.
Yeah. So this comes in the wake of what happened after the Kaikoura earthquakes, and it obviously worked well then.
Yeah, it was great. And what it meant is for those, all that infrastructure that people didn't have, a $200,000 or $300,000 infrastructure, depreciation bill to pay back. And which means that your $1.3 million payout for your hay barn, or not your hay barn, but your shed or whatever it was, and it's going to cost you $1.3 million to rebuild it. But the IRD would say to you, hey, you had $300,000 of depreciation you claimed off that. I'd like that back, thank you very much, sir. And suddenly you're $300,000 short on building your new shed or whatever it is. So it's a really great pragmatic step from the government, and very much appreciated by all those guys who, now that the insurance claims have been processed and people can make some plans, they've got some surety that tax isn't going to be one of their issues, which is really, really good.
What about farmers who weren't insured?
Now, farmers who weren't insured can still rebuild, and there's no tax deductibility. It still stays the same. It's always been the same. So if you've lost buildings and infrastructure that weren't insured, there's still no tax bill associated with you having to redo, to pay back any depreciation and things off that as well, which is great, because no one wants to shell out to put a new bridge or a new culvert or something in, and then find out that you've got a bill for the IRD for the depreciation you claimed in the years previous.
So in your area, the East Coast, things are coming right. I mean, you mentioned before you've still got the rain, but are people getting through the mess, as it were? Yeah,
they are. I mean, it's slow. And, we talked right at the start of this, it's going to be a marathon. It's really an ultra marathon. It's so wet that, we're still, like, I've got a digger coming to my place, and we're looking at the ground going, well, there's very little point in turning up, because we'll put you at the top of a hill and 5 minutes later you're at the bottom of a hill. Hopefully, you're still alive. It's wet, it's greasy. The guys who have managed to get them out in March have been really well looked after. They've got a lot of work done. So it's coming together, but it's just slow.
And I guess, dare I say it, is this what we've got to look forward to now, because winter is upon us? Yeah,
that dawned on me as I was out mustering my ewes up for shearing this morning. And I was sliding all around the place, and I've got a fencer coming, and I've got a digger coming. I'm scratching my head as how do we lay the fence lines? How do we do all those normal jobs? We're going to have to get a helicopter in and, be organised and helicopter onto the lines and things like that. So there's ways around it. But if you can't get a digger in, maybe we've got to put it off for, till next summer, which will be a bit frustrating. But that's the weather, it's winter, that's life.